back to some more Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Today we're continuing on Let's Play. This is episode 31. In today's episode we are taking a look at the stadium events. These are something that you might not even know exists at the game. Basically, at the Hyman Memorial Stadium, they will host events each night between 8 PM and midnight, and there are 3 events to get to. They sort of run on a cycle, so one night it would be Hot Ring, which is what we're doing now, and then it will be Blood Ring, and then Dirt Ring. I believe one of them pairs more than the others, but either way, these are sort of 3 extra little vehicle side missions that you can do, which is kind of fun. They can be a bit frustrating. They essentially consist of a race, a demolition derby, and a checkpoint run, and you'll see all of them in this video. You need to complete each of them for 100% completion, and what makes this awkward is you can't determine which one's going to spawn, and also you can't do these at any other time other than between 8 o'clock and midnight. I have no idea why that's the way they decided to do it, but that's the way they decided to do it. So what I would recommend is buying the Hyman Condo apartment block, which is just down the road from the Memorial Stadium, and as soon as you've completed one of these, simply go there and start saving. Also, I know the textures are glitching out on this for whatever reason they are. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what the game's decided to do. So if you see that during this Hot Ring race, I do apologise. Hot Ring is actually probably the most difficult of all of these. It's kind of fun, but yeah, it's a little bit infuriating. Essentially, it's a race on a tiny indoor oval track with the AI, and we know how the AI work. So the way this works is you are on track with, I believe it's 12 different races. They give you a pit lane, which you can see here, which will regenerate your car health if you stop inside the circle. And yeah, you just simply race around. I believe it is for 12 laps total, and then you will win the race. So you need to get top 3 in order to complete this. You don't need to win, you do need to get top 3 though. So a couple of misnomers about this one. You can actually get out of the Hot Ring and start shooting at the cars on foot in order to take them out. The issue with that is, unlike you who gets failed as soon as your car is destroyed, the AI do not suffer such a fate, and they will constantly keep respawning. There is a glitch to stop them respawning, and that's essentially they come out of, I'll show you in a second where it is. There is like a little dark corridor you see there, where you see the circle, which is what you can use to get out the mission, and also there's like a little black box there. If you park your car there, the AI can't respawn, so you can simply just jump into that box and then take them out with RPGs until there's no one left, and then you're the only car around, and just simply finish the race. You can see them popping out there. But I don't think that's really necessary unless you're really struggling with this. It might take a few attempts again, just keep saving and reloading the game in order to keep doing Hot Ring over and over again. But yeah, the AI are a bit of a cunt when it comes to this one, but thankfully they don't just take you out, they will also take each other out. What I really recommend is avoiding the AI as much as possible. If they appear in front of you, then sure, you can go for the pit maneuver, but it shouldn't. Don't try to get tangled up with the AI. Avoid them as much as possible, because they will be an absolute nightmare to you. Yeah, overall though, this one's pretty fun. I quite liked Hot Ring. It's a good fun. It's not quite as good as 8-Track from San Andreas, which would go ahead and replace this. That's a little bit more complicated of a race, and the AI in that game aren't quite as awful as they are in this game, although the vehicle physics also are a little bit more solid in that game as in this one. But it's quite funny to watch the AI go ahead and wipe themselves out and stuff like that, which is always good to see. And again, the AI will quite often catch fire. Actually, getting and maintaining a lead here can be difficult. I believe, yeah, I'm jostling with this yellow and blue car, which I decided to try and get him to catch fire in order to avoid him, although that kind of bites me in the ass with his corpse. I believe it was just a 2-horse race at this point though, and as you can see, a load of carnage is going on there. If you see a car on fire, try to avoid it, just so you can keep your car's health. I don't quite know how much that does affect the car in particular. There you go, 11 laps. And winning gets you $5,000, and if you come 2nd or 3rd place, you do get a nominal amount of money as well. So there you go. That is the Hot Ring race, and that's probably the more difficult of the 3 events that we have to do here today. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, save a few times, wait for 8 o'clock, and then we will return to the stadium once again to take a look at the Blood Ring Destruction Derby, which is not quite what you'd expect. The Destruction Derby in your mind is usually when you get a group of cars together, they smash into each other, and then whatever car is the last one left alive, that be the one that wins. Rockstar decided not to go for this logic for whatever reason. So instead, the whole point here is you drive through checkpoints to increase your time. If the timer reaches 0, then you fail. However, if you get to 1 minute, which is what you need to do on this first level, I believe there are different levels for this, but we're only taking a look at the first level each time. As you can see, target minute to 1 o'clock, and the point of this is to get that timer to go up to 1 o'clock. Also, I'm in car number 69. Nice. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty chaotic. If the AI get through the checkpoints, then it will spawn you a new checkpoint somewhere else. Essentially, it's just a case of getting lucky with the checkpoints, hoping that they appear relatively close to one another in order for you to go ahead and do this while also avoiding the AI cars. I don't believe they respawn if they do get destroyed, which is a nice little thing, but yeah, you do need to go ahead and watch out for them, because they will certainly try to mess you up. Thankfully though, the Blood Ring Banger does have a hell of a lot of durability to it, which you'd expect because it's a banger racer, and that means you can take a hell of a lot of punishment. There's no repairing your car in this one, unlike the previous one, but in all honesty, you should not be involved in the Blood Ring brawl long enough to really get your car's health below 0. As you can see there, pretty straightforward. Got it, $1,000 in the bank. And there you go. You do get a little thing for destroying cars, but again, that's not really the objective here. The objective is just to fill the timer. It's a little bit of a strange side mission, don't get me wrong, but it's actually a pretty fun one. And our final look is going to be at Dirt Ring, which is probably my least favourite of all of these. Essentially, this is a lot like the RC Raider mission that we saw yesterday, where it's all about precision driving, or precision riding in this case. You have to complete the course by passing through all of the checkpoints. Like with the RC Raider mission, this isn't failable, unless you somehow manage to destroy the bike, so you can take as long as you want to do this. Unfortunately, you do have to go ahead and collect all 32 checkpoints, and some of them are in quite nasty spaces. I will say straight off the bat, I do not recommend using the route that I used here. There probably are better routes that you can look up on YouTube from speedrunners and all that sorts. But yeah, it is quite a difficult one. This one, I do have to admit. I'd say it's more difficult than RC Raider. RC Raider, the issue with that one is it's just long and repetitive. This one, it's just genuinely frustrating because the bike, the handling model of this game isn't quite designed for this level of precision. Like you can see here, these troop buses, there's like a wooden plank that you have to ride across. The game's not quite set up for that. The physics don't quite allow it to do that. So yeah, expect to take multiple attempts at each checkpoint. Usually the way I find to do this is forget that part of your mind where it's like, oh well, you got to get this exactly right. The best way to do this is just to throw all caution to the wind and just pray that you get right. This is my least favourite one here, because like you have to balance on these vehicles which have very weird collision. You never quite know which way it's gonna go, and you have to ride across these planks, and it's just a nightmare. There's some little shortcuts that you can take. For example, doing like a wheelie on the bike will get it high enough to collect a certain checkpoint without you having to crawl the entire apparatus. But yeah, it's just, as you can see here, I think that's what I was going for, or yes. It's been a while since I recorded these, by the way, in case you remember. Yeah, I think you can actually get a jump off of that trashed car in order to get up there to complete that checkpoint, which is probably easier than actually going ahead and climbing up that ridiculous amount of woodwork and trashed cars in order to do it. I'm also hoping I don't get copyright struck from the music going on in the background. There you go. See, eventually that's just the easiest way to do that one instead of trying to climb over wood bits. You can also see this giant wall here with like, yeah, it's thin. Again, it is possible to complete this. It's more than possible to complete this. It just might take you a while because, again, the handling model of this game is not quite set up for what this entails you to do. Also, you can see here I was trying to check that the dirt bike didn't get lost up there, because that would have been a bad thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the dirt bike in this might have a little bit more durability than a normal dirt bike, because you can seem to be able to fall off it and crash into stuff a lot more than you can on the standard Sanchez, so that's also might be something that helps you out a little bit. But yeah, some of these are more precise like this. Some of the later checkpoints, which we'll see, are a lot easier. For whatever reason, my brain decided to take this course in chunks, which isn't quite the way I would suggest going about it, because there's a lot of precision riding stuff on each end of the course, and then in the middle there's like this dirt track which you could go around, and on the side of that there's a bunch of loop-de-loops which actually are really straightforward and simple. You'd think they'd be really difficult, but no, it's essentially just a case of keeping up momentum, and the bike will go pretty much wherever you want it to be. In San Andreas, this side mission also exists, although they decided to, I believe it's timed in that one, and also each checkpoint has a limit on it, and you don't have to collect all the checkpoints, which is nice, unlike this one where you do have to go ahead and collect all the checkpoints for this. So yeah, it's another one of those where I'd probably recommend, you know, settling down for a good couple of minutes, because this will take quite a while. Getting a video on, getting some music on, doing whatever you need to do in order to get in the zone and just sort of casually go through this. Again, there's no time limit, there's no rush to get through all of this. It's more just a case of how much you can mentally take on this one. As usual with the stadium events, if you do want to get out of here, there is like a little marker, usually towards where you entered vehicle-wise, and that will get you out of here if that's what you need. But again, there's no time limit, there's no rush to this one. Sure, it's a complete load of aids to do this, I'll be honest, but it's, you know, it's doable. I'm not sure if this uses the same dirt track as the one in downtown, but it does look an awful lot similar. Yeah, some of these checkpoints need to be jumped through, some of them you need to slow down for. It's a bit strange. The game doesn't do a very good job of having a good hitbox on the checkpoints. We discovered this when we was racing, but I think it's even worse here because the checkpoints are a lot smaller. So sometimes you could have swore you passed through it and you just didn't. Other times you'll get lucky and you'll just get the tick to say, yeah, you've done it, when you wasn't really expecting to. So yeah, a little bit strange in that regard, but there you go. As you can see, I come around for a second attempt in order to get the checkpoint that I apparently missed. That one, which is strange. We'll come back to that one in a second, although I do end up getting this one. Yeah, some of these you have to work out interesting ways to get them. As you can see there, my solution to that was to try and use that part of the course to ramp off. I'm not quite sure if that was the intended thing, although in all honesty I'm not quite sure what they intended with that particular checkpoint. Part of me wants to say that was an error in the coding to have it be there, but whatever, that's where it is. Thankfully we are now down to 9 checkpoints. I think the total before was 32, so yeah, it's unfailable, but it is definitely a lesson in precision. It is not very fun. Thankfully, if you do fail this one, this is the most common of them. I believe it does work on a 3-day cycle. I said previously that it goes between all 3 of them. Well, I think the game counts days, which, unlike in San Andreas, you can't really look and see. And I don't know the exact days, but this one appears more than the rest of them do, so you do get more chance on this one. In fairness, I think the reason for that is because you're supposed to go through multiple levels of this one. Blood Ring might have more levels, considering they give you like a different... I don't know if they do give you a different time limit each time, but it says it does. Hot Ring, I think, is just 1 level, because I don't really see any way they could add any more to that other than make it more laps. But either way, like I said, it's just... These do give you a decent amount of money, in fairness, unlike the actual vehicle missions that we did last time where we made a whole $300. These ones you do make a bit more money, but of course they are more difficult. But if you want to get that elusive 100% completion, you do have to do these. There's no way around it. Again, I wish that they would have made it so A, you can show up to these at any time you like they do in San Andreas, but also I think it would have been better if they just had a menu where you could choose which one you wanted to do, or even better, after completing all 3 of them, you could then choose between them so you can pick exactly which one you want. But that's not the way they decided to do it. It works on days, you can only do it between 8 and 12 PM. It's very awkward and stupid, but there you go. Also, I wonder if this is exactly the same track that's in San Andreas in this side mission. I'm recognising a lot of the elements are shared, but I don't know if it's the exact same interior, but I have a feeling it very well could be the exact same thing. But yeah, either way, 2 more checkpoints to go, although unfortunately I've left 2 pretty bad ones to last. Both of them involving driving up these silly walls. The problem is, because you can't spin the camera around in this game unless you're on PC, you can't really see exactly where the front wheel is, which is really awkward. I can imagine in GTA 5 or something of that sort, this would be a really fun side mission with the first person because you can see exactly where you're going. I got really unlucky there, didn't I? But no, they don't have that, so yeah, it's just, this is the way it is. Oh well. We're 9 minutes in, we're almost done, 1 more checkpoint to go. Bada bing, bada boom, $10,000, which it's pretty good that that's the most rewarding of them, even though it's not the most difficult. And for all of your troubles in there, you get all of that money, which of course is a decent amount, you know, 5,000 for Hot Ring, 1,000 for Blood Ring, and then 10,000 for that. And also, you get rewarded with 2 cars spawning underneath here, the 2 Blood Ring Bangers. These vehicles have exceptional amounts of durability. They're also pretty quick and pretty good handling to boot. So they might be pretty good for rampages if you're struggling with those. Definitely good for drive-bys. But I guess it's a bit of a novelty reward, but it's still kind of cool. And I do like the Blood Ring Bangers. I do think they look exceptionally cool. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Next time we're going to be taking a look at the unique stunt jumps, the final part of Act 3. So join us for that. Until then, a farewell.